Madam President, I rise to speak in support of Fred Hochberg and his nomination to the second term as chairman of the Export-Import Bank. And I've heard now two speeches on the other side of the aisle from my colleagues who not only seem to take exception with Mr. Hochberg's nominee, but the Export-Import Bank in and of itself. I think they're wrong. I think they're wrong because they don't understand Washington's need to focus on the fact that we have an export economy. We want U.S. products to be bought and sold in countries and markets all over the world. What we're here today is to talk about a critical vote to support 225,000 jobs that are part of our export economy. If we fail to confirm Fred Hochberg for a second term as chairman of the Export-Import Bank, businesses across the United States will lose a key tool in job creation. That's because his term runs out on July 20th. What would that mean? It would mean that the Export-Import Bank, that needs at least 3 of its 5 board members to have a quorum, would not have a quorum and would not be able to issue any new loans. That means that the transactions that U.S. companies depend on, the guarantees and the transactions to finance the sale of U.S. products and services overseas, would not be able to move forward. If we don't confirm Hochberg this week, the bank cannot approve loans, and it would take away a job-creating tool that American innovators and businesses count on. And that's why I'm calling on my colleagues in a bipartisan fashion to confirm Mr. Hochberg as the Export-Import Bank chairman for a second term. His nomination is supported by the Chamber of Commerce, by the National Association of Manufacturers. He has proven to be a solid leader in his organization by listening, implementing, innovating, and administering a very critical job creation tool. When I visited businesses across my state in 2012 to talk about the Export-Import Bank, I heard that American people wanted us to focus on job creation and supporting business, and the Export-Import Bank helps American-made products be shipped all around the world. I saw a company in my state, Yakima, Washington, the Manhasset music stand company, who uses the Export-Import Bank to make sure sales go all around the globe, including China. I saw a grain silo manufacturer called SCAFCO in Spokane, who also would testify the fact that they have been able to sell their grain silos many countries around the globe because of the financing that the Export-Import Bank guarantees. Airline cockpit hardware made by a company, Esterline Factory in Everett, Washington, also testified to the same effect, that when you're looking around the globe to secure financing of U.S. products into more developing countries, it's hard to get the financing to work. So the U.S. can be left at the starting line, or the U.S. can use this vital tool that I call a tactic for small business to get access to make sure that their products get a final sale. The Export-Import Bank supports 83,000 jobs just in my state alone, which benefits from the finance mechanism. And over the last 5 years, it has supported many jobs throughout the United States. Overall, it supports, as I said, 225,000 jobs and more than 3,000 businesses in 2012. And in this small business area, 2,500 of those are small businesses. So the notion that this is somehow crony capitalism, maybe he's talking about the shenanigans that happened on Wall Street, but he's certainly not talking about the Export-Import Bank. So I'm advocating that we keep the very positive results of this bank and keep Mr. Hochberg going, and to make sure that we continue to sell our products from Everett, Washington, or Auburn, Kentucky, all over the globe. 95% of the world's consumers live outside our borders. So the question is, are we going to make sure that U.S. products get into the hands of the growing middle class around the globe? In 2030, China's middle class will be 1 billion people, 1 billion middle-class people in China, up from 150 million today. And India's middle class will grow 80%, from 50 million to 475 million. So we need our businesses, large and small, to have the tools to reach this new growing pool of consumers. And not only does this help businesses, the Ex-Im Bank also helps taxpayers. So I don't know where crony capitalism comes from, but I don't know a program where this program is a very good deal for the U.S. Department of Treasury. In fact, it returned nearly $1.6 billion to the U.S. Treasury since 2005. So it actually is helping us return money to the Treasury, and it helps our businesses continue to grow in export markets. As we speak, there are almost $4 billion in transactions awaiting approval for the bank. That is, if we don't approve the chairman, these deals might not go through. That are lots of American businesses counting on that transaction so that they can compete in an international market. The international competitor is not going to wait until we approve Mr. Hochberg. If we delay this, they're going to go ahead and cash in on the business deals, and their competitors will win. I think the U.S. Chamber of Commerce said it best in a 2011 letter to congressional leaders. The Export-Import Bank enables U.S. companies, large and small, to turn export opportunities into real sales that help create real jobs in the United States of America. I was proud that Mr. Hochberg came to Seattle last year for an opening of a regional Ex-Im office to really focus on even more small businesses to make sure that they can get the financing for end products to get to these markets. We should be moving more towards policies to help the businesses, the small businesses, grow with confidence into these international markets. So I ask my colleagues to do the right thing and follow through and confirm this chairman. Since its creation, 1934, the Ex-Im Bank was approved by unanimous consent or voice vote 24 times. 24 times. So 24 times no one called this a crony capitalism. No, they were supporting it. And last time we authorized it, it had 78 votes. It ended up in the House of Representatives with 330 votes. I'm pointing this out because all the delays in not supporting this or delaying Mr. Hochberg's nomination hurts business when in the end, the majority of my colleagues do agree that this is a vital tool to help make sure that we boost products made in America. And in the last reauthorization, we did make improvements to strengthen the Ex-Im Bank. Quarterly reports are delivered on the default rates, which now can't go above 2%. The government accountability also is required to work with risk management structures to make sure that loans and businesses are not too risky. Transactions above a certain dollar amount receive public comment, and they deliver a yearly report on those transactions. And I know my colleagues have mentioned this issue about aviation, and I can guarantee you as the chair of the Aviation Committee, I want U.S. airline industries to be as competitive in international markets. And so certainly working together, the world community on financing of airplane sales are all working together to make sure that those are based closer to market-based rates and working on the same page so these financing schemes work together. So all of these improvements that we continue to make in the Ex-Im Bank, I think are important, and as I said, Mr. Hochberg has been open to many discussions of how we move ahead. But let's not deny the fact that in developing markets, a financial tool like the Ex-Im Bank that actually delivers on helping job creation in the United States by getting the sales of many, many different U.S. products into these developing countries and growing middle classes is a very good thing for the United States. And the fact that it returns to the taxpayer is very, very positive. So let's not let this slip another moment. Let's get Mr. Hochberg back to the task at hand, which is approving these transactions so U.S. companies can continue to grow jobs here by accessing new markets overseas. I thank the President, and I yield the floor.